You've been doing everything right. You cut your spending, you stopped buying coffee, you brought lunch from home, you saved every month, religiously putting money into your savings account. You did what everyone told you to do. And after 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 20 years, you look at your account and realize something terrifying. You're not rich. You're not even close. In fact, when you adjust for the rising cost of everything around you, you might actually be poorer than when you started. How is that possible? You saved. You were disciplined. You did what you were supposed to do. Here's the brutal truth they don't want you to know. Saving money alone will never make you rich. It will protect you from disaster. It will give you security, but it will not build wealth. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why using simple math that anyone can understand. And more importantly, I'm going to show you what actually does make you rich. This isn't about working harder or saving more. This is about understanding how money actually works in the real world. Let's start by destroying the biggest financial myth of all time, that saving money makes you wealthy. This myth is everywhere. Your parents told you to save, your school taught you to save. Every financial guru tells you to save. And they're not completely wrong. Saving is important. Saving is necessary. But saving alone, that's a trap. A slow, comfortable trap that feels responsible while keeping you poor. Here's what saving actually does. It preserves money you've already earned. That's it. When you put $1,000 in a savings account, you have $1,000. Next year, you still have $1,000, plus maybe $10 in interest if you're lucky. You haven't created wealth. You've just stored what you already had. This is preservation, not growth. It's the financial equivalent of putting your money under a mattress, except the mattress is slightly safer and pays you pocket change. But here's where it gets worse. While your money sits in that savings account earning 1% interest, the world around you is changing. Prices are going up. The cost of food, housing, gas, healthcare, education, everything is increasing. This isn't your imagination. It's not because you're shopping at the wrong stores. It's inflation, and it's destroying your wealth silently, invisibly, every single day. Most people don't understand inflation because it's not dramatic. It's not a stock market crash where you lose 50% overnight. It's slow. It's steady. It's 3% this year, 2% next year, 4% the year after. Doesn't sound like much, right? Wrong. This slow burn is what keeps you trapped in the middle class forever, working harder and harder for money that buys less and less. Let me give you a simple example that will make this crystal clear. In the year 2000, you could buy a gallon of milk for about $2.75. Today, that same gallon costs around $4.50. That's not because milk got better. That's not because cows became more expensive to raise, although they did slightly. That's primarily inflation. Your dollar buys less milk than it used to. Same dollar, less purchasing power. Now multiply that across every single thing you buy. Food, rent, cars, healthcare, everything. Your dollars are worth less every year, and if your money is just sitting in a savings account, you're getting poorer in real terms, even though your account balance might be going up slightly. This is the illusion of saving. You see your account balance grow from $10,000 to $10,500 over a year. You feel good. You feel responsible. But if inflation was 3% that year, your $10,000 lost $300 in purchasing power. You made $50 in interest and lost $300 in value. Net result, you're $250 poorer than you were, even though your account shows more money. This is why saving alone will never make you rich. At best, you're treading water. At worst, you're slowly drowning.
Let's get into the actual numbers, because this is where most people's brains shut off, and that's exactly why they stay poor. Understanding this math is what separates people who build wealth from people who work their entire lives and have nothing to show for it. This isn't complicated. You learned harder math in middle school, but nobody ever taught you how to apply it to money. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. In the United States, The average inflation rate over the past century has been around 3% per year. Some years is higher, some years is lower, but 3% is a good average to use for planning. What does 3% inflation mean in real terms? It means that every year, your money needs to grow by at least 3% just to maintain the same purchasing power, not to get richer, just to stay even. Let's run through a concrete example. You have $10,000. You put it in a high-yield savings account that pays 1% interest annually. That's actually generous. Most savings accounts pay less than that, but let's use 1% to be optimistic. After 1 year, you have $10,100. You made $100 in interest. Congratulations. Now let's factor in inflation at 3%. Your $10,000 at the beginning of the year had a certain purchasing power. Let's say it could buy you a specific basket of goods and services. By the end of the year, to buy that same basket of goods and services, you would need $10,300 because prices went up 3%. But you only have $10,100. You're $200 short. Your purchasing power decreased by $200, even though your account balance increased by $100. You lost ground. You got poorer. Now, let's extend this over time because that's when it really hurts. You keep your $10,000 in that savings account for 10 years, adding nothing, just letting it compound at 1% interest. After 10 years, you have about $11,046. Sounds good, right? You made over $1,000 without doing anything. But inflation at 3% means that to have the same purchasing power you started with, you would need $13,439. You're short by $2,393. Your $10,000 can now buy what $7,607 could buy when you started. You lost nearly 24% of your wealth over 10 years by doing the responsible thing and keeping it in savings. 20 years, your $10,000 grows to about $12,202 at 1% interest, but you would need $18,061 to maintain purchasing power. You've lost 32% of your wealth. 30 years, you have $13,478 in your account, but you need $24,272 to have the same buying power. You've lost 44% of your wealth, almost half, gone, evaporated. Not because you spent it, not because you were irresponsible, but because you saved it in a place that didn't keep pace with inflation. This is the trap. Saving feels safe. It feels responsible. It feels like you're doing the right thing. And the account balance going up confirms that feeling. But the math tells a different story. The math says you're losing, slowly, steadily, invisibly. This is why your grandparents could buy a house for $30,000 and why you can't buy that same house for less than $300,000 today. It's not that houses got 10 times better, it's that dollars got 10 times weaker. And here's the really insidious part. The government and financial institutions benefit from you not understanding this. They want you to save. They need you to save. Your savings in banks allow them to lend money to other people at higher interest rates. They make money off your money while paying you virtually nothing. And they've convinced you that this is smart, that this is what responsible adults do. They've weaponized your fear of risk to keep you poor.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, inflation is bad, I get it, but why does it exist? Why don't they just stop making prices go up? The answer is more complicated and more depressing than you might expect. Inflation exists by design. It's not an accident. It's not a failure of the system. It is the system. Governments and central banks actually want moderate inflation. 2 to 3% per year is their target. Why? Because inflation benefits certain groups at the expense of others, and you're not in the group that benefits. Here's how it works. When there's inflation, debt becomes easier to pay off over time. If you borrow $100,000 today and pay it back over 30 years, the money you use to make those payments in year 29 is worth less than the money you borrowed in year 1. You're paying back the debt with cheaper dollars. This is great if you're a borrower, particularly if you're borrowing to buy assets that appreciate faster than inflation. This is terrible if you're a lender or a saver. Governments are massive borrowers. The U.S. government has over $30 trillion in debt. They want inflation because it makes their debt cheaper to pay off in real terms. They borrowed money when dollars were more valuable, and they're paying it back with dollars that are less valuable. It's a slow-motion default without officially defaulting. It's legal, it's accepted, and it's destroying your purchasing power to pay for their spending. Banks and large corporations also benefit from inflation when they use it correctly. They borrow money at low rates, invest it in assets that appreciate or generate returns above the inflation rate, and profit from the spread. They understand the game. They're playing offense. You, saving money in a basic savings account, are playing defense, and you're losing. But won't wages go up to match inflation, you ask? In theory, yes. In practice, not really. Wage growth has lagged inflation for decades for most workers. The median wage has barely kept pace with inflation when you look at purchasing power over time. Some people see wage growth that exceeds inflation. They're usually highly skilled workers in high-demand fields, executives, or people who switch jobs frequently to capture market rate increases. But the average person working the same job year after year, they're lucky to get raises that match inflation, and most don't even get that. This means that saving money in a low-interest account is a guaranteed way to lose purchasing power over time. It's not a maybe, it's not a risk, it's a mathematical certainty. Every year you keep significant money in savings, you are volunteering to get poorer. You might not feel it immediately, you might not notice it year to year, but compound it over decades and you'll wake up at 65 with a lifetime of savings that can't buy what you thought it would. And here's the worst part. Inflation isn't consistent across all goods and services. Some things inflate faster than others. Healthcare costs have inflated much faster than the general rate. So have education costs. Housing in many markets has inflated faster than average. These are major expenses. These are the things you need money for, and they're getting more expensive faster than your savings are growing. This isn't a bug. This is a feature of the system. It keeps you working, keeps you consuming, keeps you dependent, and keeps you from building real wealth.
Now, before you think I'm telling you not to save at all, let me be clear. Saving is important. Saving is necessary. But saving has a specific purpose, and that purpose is not to make you rich. Saving is for protection and opportunity. That's it. Let me explain what this means in practical terms. First, saving is for emergencies. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down. You lose your job. You have medical expenses. Your roof starts leaking. Unexpected things happen, and when they do, you need cash available immediately. This is what your emergency fund is for. 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a savings account that you can access instantly. This money is not there to make you rich. It's there to prevent you from going broke when something goes wrong. This is crucial. Without an emergency fund, when disaster strikes, you're forced to go into debt. You put it on credit cards at 20% interest. You take out loans. You borrow from family. All of these options are worse than having cash set aside. So yes, you need savings for emergencies. But once you have your emergency fund fully funded, putting more money into savings is a mistake. That additional money should be invested, not saved. Second, saving is for short-term goals. If you're planning to buy a house in 2 years and you need a down payment, you don't invest that money in the stock market. Too risky. The market could drop right when you need the money. Instead, you save it in a high-yield savings account or a short-term bond fund. You're not trying to grow this money significantly, you're trying to preserve it until you need it. Same with saving for a car you plan to buy in cash in a year, or a wedding, or any other expense you know is coming soon. The rule here is simple. If you need the money within 2 to 3 years, save it. Don't invest it. The risk of short-term market volatility isn't worth it. But if you don't need the money for more than 3 to 5 years, it should be invested, not saved. This is where people mess up. They're saving for retirement 30 years from now in a savings account earning 1%. Insanity. That money should be invested where it can actually grow and outpace inflation. Third, saving is for opportunity. Sometimes great opportunities come along that require cash. A business opportunity, a real estate deal, a chance to invest in something with high returns. Having cash available means you can take advantage of these opportunities when they arise. This is different from an emergency fund. This is your opportunity fund. Maybe $5,000 to $10,000 set aside specifically to jump on something when it makes sense. But notice what all of these purposes have in common. They're all short-term or situational. None of them are about building long-term wealth. None of them are about getting rich. They're about stability, preparation, and flexibility. These are good things. These are necessary things, but they're not wealth-building things. Here's the framework you should use. First, save $1,000 as a starter emergency fund. This is your first priority if you have any high-interest debt. It prevents you from going deeper into debt when small emergencies happen. Second, pay off all high-interest debt. Anything above 7 to 8% needs to go. Third, build your full emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. Fourth, start investing for long-term goals like retirement. Fifth, save for short-term goals as needed. This is the order: emergency fund, kill debt, full emergency fund, invest, then save for specific near-term purchases. What most people do is save, 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 and never invest. They have $40,000 in a savings account earning nothing, and they think they're being financially responsible. They're not. They're being financially ignorant. That money is losing value every single day. Once you have your emergency fund, once you've paid off bad debt, additional money should go toward investments that actually grow faster than inflation. Savings protect you. Investments make you rich. You need both, but in the right proportions and for the right purposes. Most people have too much in savings and too little in investments. They're overprotected and undergrowing. This imbalance is what keeps them middle class forever.
So if saving doesn't build wealth, what does? The answer is simple, but most people don't do it because it requires understanding and a different mindset. What builds wealth is investing in assets that appreciate or generate income at rates higher than inflation. That's it. That's the whole game. Everything else is details. An investment is money you put into something with the expectation that it will grow in value or produce income over time. Stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, these are investments. They don't just sit there like money in a savings account. They work for you. They generate returns. And when chosen wisely, those returns exceed inflation by a significant margin, which means you're actually getting richer, not just preserving what you have. Let's use the stock market as an example because it's the most accessible investment for most people. Over the past century, the stock market has averaged about 10% annual returns. Some years it's up 30%. Some years it's down 20%. But average it out over long periods and you get around 10%. Compare that to the 3% inflation rate and the 1% savings account interest. 10% returns versus 3% inflation means you're gaining 7% in real purchasing power every year. That's wealth building. That's how you get rich. Let's use the same $10,000 example we used before, but this time with investing instead of saving. You take that $10,000 and invest it in a diversified stock index fund. Over 10 years at an average 10% annual return, your $10,000 becomes $25,937. Compare that to the $11,046 you had in savings. That's $14,891 more just from choosing to invest instead of save. And remember, to maintain purchasing power with inflation, you needed $13,439. Your investment gave you $25,937. You didn't just maintain purchasing power, you nearly doubled your real wealth. 20 years? Your investment grows to $67,275, while you only needed $18,061 to maintain purchasing power. You're $49,214 richer in real terms. The savings account would have given you $12,202, which in real purchasing power is only worth about $6,757. The difference between investing and saving over 20 years is over $60,000 on a $10,000 starting point. 30 years? Investment gives you $174,494. Savings gives you $13,478, which is worth about $5,550 in real purchasing power. The difference is over $168,000. From the same $10,000 starting point, same amount of money, completely different outcome based on one decision: invest or save. And this is just with a lump sum. If you're adding money every month, the difference becomes even more dramatic. Let's say you invest $500 a month for 30 years at 10% average returns. You would end up with over $1,136,000. If you saved that same $500 a month for 30 years at 1% interest, you would have about $210,000, which in real purchasing power is worth about $86,000. The difference is over $1 million. Same discipline, same monthly contribution, but one approach makes you a millionaire and the other keeps you solidly middle class. This is the power of investing versus saving. This is how wealth is actually built. Not by working harder, not by saving more of your paycheck, but by putting your money to work in assets that grow faster than inflation. The wealthy understand this. They don't keep significant money in savings accounts. They keep enough for emergencies and short-term needs, and everything else is invested. They're using their money to make more money. You're using your money to feel safe while getting poorer. Now, does investing come with risk? Yes. The stock market goes up and down. Some years you'll lose money. Some investments fail. This is why you need that emergency fund. This is why you don't invest money you'll need in the next 2 to 3 years. But over long periods, the risk of not investing is greater than the risk of investing. The risk of keeping all your money in savings is the certainty of losing purchasing power. The risk of investing is the possibility of temporary losses that historically have always recovered over time. From 1926 to 2023, there has never been a 20-year period where a diversified stock portfolio lost money. Never. Even if you invested right before the Great Depression or right before the 2008 financial crisis, if you held for 20 years, you made money. The stock market has gone up over every sufficiently long time period. If you're young and have decades until retirement, not investing is the riskiest thing you can do. But you don't have to go all in on stocks. You can diversify. Stocks, bonds, real estate, maybe some alternative investments. The exact allocation depends on your age, risk tolerance, and goals. The point is, you need to be invested in something. Keeping everything in cash is not diversification. It's not being conservative. It's volunteering to lose money to inflation.
So if investing is clearly better than saving for building wealth, why don't more people do it? Why do so many people keep tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in savings accounts earning nothing? The answer is psychology. Fear, ignorance, and inertia are more powerful than logic and math for most people. First, fear. People are afraid of losing money. The stock market crashes we hear about on the news are terrifying. Losing 50% of your money overnight sounds like the worst thing that could happen. So people avoid the stock market entirely. They think they're being smart and cautious. They're actually being foolish and guaranteeing slow losses to inflation. The irony is that the fear of losing money causes them to lose money, just in a less dramatic way. Here's what people don't understand. Market crashes are temporary. Market growth is permanent when measured over long enough periods. Every single crash in history has been followed by a recovery and new highs. Every single one. If you panic and sell during a crash, you lock in your losses. If you hold through the crash, or even better, buy more while prices are low, you come out ahead. The people who got rich from the stock market aren't the people who avoided crashes. They're the people who bought during crashes and held through the recovery. But fear is irrational. It doesn't care about historical data or long-term statistics. It cares about the possibility of loss right now. And because losses hurt psychologically about twice as much as equivalent gains feel good, people are wired to avoid investing, even when the math clearly says they should. This is called loss aversion, and it keeps people poor. Second, ignorance. Most people don't understand investing. They don't know what a stock is. They don't know what a bond is. They don't know what an index fund is. They hear terms like diversification and asset allocation, and their eyes glaze over. It sounds complicated, like something only rich people or finance experts can do. So they don't even try. They stick with what they know, which is putting money in a savings account. This ignorance is perpetuated by the education system. Schools don't teach personal finance. They don't teach investing. They prepare you to be an employee, not an investor. They prepare you to work for money, not to make money work for you. This serves the interests of the wealthy who want a steady supply of workers and consumers, not competition. The truth is, basic investing is not complicated. You can invest in a simple index fund that tracks the entire stock market with a few clicks on your phone. You don't need to pick individual stocks. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to be a financial genius. You just need to understand that over long periods, the stock market goes up, and you need to be invested to benefit from that growth. But because people don't know this, they miss out on decades of wealth building. Third, inertia. Even people who know they should invest often don't because it requires action. It requires opening an investment account. It requires deciding what to invest in. It requires moving money. It's easier to do nothing. It's easier to leave money where it is, in the savings account where it's been sitting for years. Inertia is powerful. Doing nothing is the default. And the default in our financial system is designed to keep you poor. Banks don't encourage you to invest. They encourage you to save with them because they make money when you save. They lend your savings to other people at higher rates and keep the difference. They don't want you taking your money out and putting it in investments. Financial advisors often don't help unless you already have a lot of money, and when they do help, many of them push high-fee products that benefit them more than you. The system is not set up to help you build wealth. It's set up to extract wealth from you. Overcoming these psychological barriers is the hardest part of building wealth. The math is easy. The psychology is hard. You have to overcome fear by educating yourself about how markets work historically. You have to overcome ignorance by learning the basics of investing, which takes maybe a few hours of reading or watching videos. You have to overcome inertia by taking action, opening accounts, and setting up automatic investments. And here's the key. Once you start, once you have skin in the game, it gets easier. You start paying attention. You start learning more. You start seeing your money grow. And that positive reinforcement makes you want to invest more. The first step is the hardest. After that, momentum takes over. But most people never take that first step. They stay stuck in the safety of their savings account, slowly getting poorer, wondering why they're not getting ahead.
So what do you actually do with this information? How do you stop losing money to inflation and start building real wealth? Here's your step-by-step action plan. Step 1. Build your emergency fund. Before you invest a single dollar, you need 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high-yield savings account. This is non-negotiable. This is your safety net. It prevents you from having to sell investments at a loss if an emergency happens. If you don't have this yet, make it your priority. Step 2. Pay off high-interest debt. Anything above 7 to 8% needs to go before you start investing, credit cards especially. You can't out-invest 20% credit card interest. Pay it off first. This is the highest return guaranteed investment you can make. Step 3. Take advantage of employer retirement matching. If your employer offers a 401k match, contribute at least enough to get the full match. This is free money. If they match 50 cents on the dollar up to 6% of your salary, that's an automatic 50% return on that money. You will never find a better guaranteed return anywhere. Max this out before doing anything else with your investment dollars. Step 4. Open a Roth IRA and contribute the maximum if you're eligible. For 2024, that's $7,000 per year if you're under 50. A Roth IRA grows tax-free forever. You pay taxes on the money you contribute now, but all future growth and withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. This is one of the best investment vehicles available to regular people. Automate monthly contributions if possible. Step 5. Increase your 401k contributions beyond the match. Try to get to at least 15% of your income going to retirement accounts. If you can do more, do more. The more you invest now, the less you'll have to invest later, and the more time your money has to compound. Step 6. Invest in taxable brokerage accounts for goals and wealth building beyond retirement.
Once you've maxed out tax-advantaged accounts, or if you want to retire before 59 and a half, you need taxable investment accounts. Open one with a reputable broker like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. Invest in low-cost index funds. Keep it simple. Step 7. Automate everything. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your investment accounts. Pay yourself first. The money should move before you have a chance to spend it. Automation removes willpower from the equation. It makes investing effortless. This is the single most important habit for building wealth. Step 8. Increase your investments when your income increases. Every raise, every bonus, every windfall, increase your investment rate. Don't inflate your lifestyle. Inflate your investment contributions. This is how you accelerate wealth building. What to invest in? For most people, the answer is simple. Low-cost index funds. A total stock market index fund gives you ownership in thousands of companies with one purchase. It's diversified, low-cost, and historically has delivered excellent returns. You don't need to pick individual stocks. You don't need to time the market. You don't need to be a genius. Just buy index funds regularly and hold them for decades. If you want to be slightly more sophisticated, use a 3-fund portfolio. A total U.S. stock market index fund, a total international stock market index fund, and a total bond market index fund. Adjust the percentages based on your age and risk tolerance. Younger people can be more aggressive with stocks. Older people should shift more to bonds as they approach retirement. But even this is optional. A single total stock market index fund will serve most people well for their entire investing life. The key is to start. Start small if you need to. $50 a month is infinitely better than zero. As you learn more and get comfortable, increase your contributions, but don't wait until you understand everything or until you have a large sum to invest. Start now with what you have. Time in the market beats timing the market every single time. And here's the final critical point. Don't panic during downturns. The market will crash at some point. Maybe next year, maybe in 10 years. It will happen. When it does, your portfolio will lose value temporarily. This is normal. This is expected. This is when you keep investing, or if you have extra cash, invest more. Do not sell. Do not panic. Selling during a crash is how you lose money permanently. Holding through crashes and continuing to invest is how you build wealth.
Saving money alone will never make you rich. It will keep you safe, it will give you options, it will prevent disasters, but it will not build wealth. Inflation guarantees that money sitting in a savings account loses purchasing power over time. This is a mathematical fact, not an opinion. To build real wealth, you must invest in assets that grow faster than inflation. For most people, that means the stock market through low-cost index funds. Over long periods, the stock market has averaged 10% annual returns. Subtract 3% for inflation, and you're still gaining 7% in real wealth every year. Compound that over decades, and you become wealthy. Not from working harder, not from saving more, but from putting your money to work in investments that actually grow. The wealthy know this. They save what they need for emergencies and short-term goals, and they invest everything else. They use their money to buy assets that appreciate or generate income. They understand that cash is trash in an inflationary environment. They understand that real wealth comes from ownership of productive assets, not from hoarding currency that loses value. You've been taught to save because it benefits the system, not because it benefits you. Banks want your savings so they can lend it out and profit from the spread. The government wants you to save in low-return accounts instead of building real wealth that gives you independence. The whole system is designed to keep you working, consuming, and staying poor while thinking you're doing the right thing. But now you know better. You understand that saving has a purpose, but that purpose is not wealth building. You understand that inflation is real. It's not going away, and it's destroying your purchasing power every single day that you keep significant money in cash. You understand that investing is not gambling or something only rich people do. It's the only proven way to build wealth over time for ordinary people. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to keep doing what you've been doing, saving every month in an account that guarantees you'll get poorer in real terms? Or are you going to take action, build your emergency fund, pay off bad debt, and start investing in assets that actually grow? Most people will watch this video, agree with everything, and then do nothing. They'll keep their money in savings because it feels safe and familiar. They'll retire at 65 with maybe $200,000 saved, which in future dollars will buy a fraction of what they think it will. They'll wonder why they work their whole lives and have nothing to show for it. Don't be most people. Start today. Open an investment account. Set up automatic contributions. Invest in low-cost index funds. Do it now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you have more money. Now. Because every day you wait is a day of potential returns you're losing forever. Time is your most valuable asset when it comes to investing, and you can't get it back. If this video opened your eyes to how money actually works, hit that like button. If you want more real financial education that the system doesn't want you to know, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Share this with anyone you know who's stuck in the savings trap, thinking they're building wealth when they're actually losing it. Now stop saving and start investing. Your future self will thank you. I'll see you in the next one.